Chapter 1. Planetary Origins. The story of humanity's galactic emergence began in the most unlikely of places, a small blue planet teetering on the brink of self-destruction. Earth in the mid-21st century was a complex tapestry of environmental crisis, technological revolution, and societal transformation that would have broken lesser species. Climate change had reshaped continents. Massive population migrations had redrawn geopolitical boundaries. Technological disruption had made entire industries obsolete overnight. Where other civilizations might have collapsed, humanity adapted with a resilience that would later become legendary. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a renowned historical sociologist, would later describe this period as humanity's evolutionary crucible. Her seminal work, Adaptation, the Human Survival Mechanism, traced how multiple global challenges forced a fundamental reimagining of human potential. Take, for example, the Great Pacific Reconstruction Project of 2047. What began as a desperate attempt to mitigate environmental damage became a global collaborative effort that transformed human understanding of collective problem solving. Engineers from Shanghai worked alongside climate scientists from Buenos Aires. Programmers from Nairobi collaborated with agricultural experts from Mumbai. The project wasn't just about saving a single ecosystem, it was about developing a new approach to global challenges, a methodology of collaborative innovation that would later become humanity's most potent strategic asset. Maria Chen, a young environmental engineer who would become a key figure in the project, remembered those early days with a mix of hope and desperation. "We weren't just trying to save an ocean," she recalled in her memoirs. "We were learning how to save ourselves." The technological innovations emerged from necessity. Quantum computing solutions developed to model complex climate interactions would later become the foundation of interstellar navigation systems. Medical nanotech created to combat global pandemics would revolutionize xenobiological research. Admiral Elena Patel, grandmother of the future Admiral Maya Patel, recognized this pattern early. During her tenure as head of the United Earth Strategic Research Division, she implemented a radical approach. Every scientific and technological development would be evaluated not just for its immediate utility, but for its potential long-term strategic value. "We are playing a game," she would tell her protégés, "that extends far beyond our immediate horizon." Chapter 2. The Global Collaborative Network. The formation of the Global Collaborative Network in 2052 represented more than a political milestone. It was a species-wide psychological transformation that would later become the foundation of humanity's approach to galactic politics. The network wasn't a traditional government. It was a dynamic, adaptive system that allowed for unprecedented levels of global cooperation. Imagine a governance model that could rapidly reconfigure itself to address specific global challenges with decision-making processes that emphasized collective intelligence over individual power. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, Elena's father and a prominent sociological theorist, described it as the first truly post-national human organization. Traditional boundaries of nationality, ethnicity, and economic status became increasingly irrelevant. What mattered was problem-solving capacity, collaborative potential, and collective adaptability. The network's first major test came with the global resource allocation crisis of 2055. As climate change and technological disruption created unprecedented economic challenges, the traditional capitalist model began to fracture. The Global Collaborative Network implemented a radical approach that combined advanced AI-driven resource management with a new economic model that prioritized collective survival over individual accumulation. Blake Chen, who would later become a key strategic planner, was a young programmer during this period. His work on adaptive resource allocation algorithms would become foundational to humanity's later strategic approaches. "We weren't just developing a technology," Blake would later reflect. "We were developing a new way of thinking about collective potential." The network's structure was deliberately designed to be fluid, adaptive, and resistant to traditional power concentrations. No single individual or group could completely control the system. Instead, It relied on a complex network of collaborative decision-making processes that continuously evolved. This approach would prove crucial in humanity's later encounters with the galactic community. Where other species saw rigid hierarchies, humans presented a collaborative, adaptive system that defied traditional diplomatic understanding. Chapter 3: Technological and Social Evolution. The decades following the global collaborative network's formation saw humanity undergo a remarkable transformation. Traditional concepts of competition were replaced by collaborative innovation. Economic models shifted from individual accumulation to collective problem solving. Educational systems were revolutionized. Instead of specialized training, humans began to develop a holistic approach to knowledge. A quantum physicist might also be trained in ecological restoration. An AI specialist could have deep expertise in social psychology. This cross-disciplinary approach became humanity's secret weapon. While other species developed specialized technologies, humans became masters of adaptive innovation. The Mars Collaborative Research Base, established in 2063, became a symbol of this new approach. It wasn't just a scientific outpost, it was a living laboratory of human potential. Researchers from different disciplines worked together in ways that defied traditional academic boundaries. Dr. Aisha Nyong'o, the base's first director, remembered those early days with a sense of excitement. "We weren't just exploring a planet," she would later say. "We were exploring the boundaries of human potential." The technological breakthroughs were remarkable. Quantum computing solutions developed for complex planetary modeling, medical nanotech that could adapt to multiple biological systems, energy generation technologies that could work in extreme environments. But more importantly, these technologies were developed with a fundamental philosophy of collaborative potential. Each innovation was seen not as an individual achievement, but as a collective human advancement. This approach would prove crucial in humanity's later encounters with the galactic community. Where other species saw individual technological achievements, humans presented a collaborative approach that was fundamentally different from anything the galaxy had encountered before. Chapter 4: The First Whispers of Galactic Potential. By the 2080s, humanity had transformed from a planetary civilization on the brink of collapse to a species with remarkable adaptive potential. The groundwork had been laid for something extraordinary, though few could have predicted exactly what was coming. The first serious discussions of potential extraterrestrial contact began in research centers around the world, not with fear, but with a sense of collaborative excitement. Humanity had learned through decades of global challenges that the unknown was not something to be feared, but an opportunity for collective growth. Advanced listening arrays were established, not as a military initiative, but as a collaborative scientific project. The Global Exploration Initiative brought together the best minds from around the planet, creating a truly global approach to potential first contact. Little did they know how profoundly that preparation would shape humanity's future. The first official contact with an extraterrestrial civilization occurred on September 17, 2089, at 3:42 Universal Coordinated Time. It was not the dramatic, Hollywood-esque event that centuries of science fiction had predicted, but a moment of calculated, almost anticlimactic precision. The Zorn Collective's initial transmission arrived not with thunderous proclamations or aggressive declarations, but with a mathematical sequence, a universal communication protocol designed to test technological and cognitive capabilities. The message was elegant in its simplicity, a prime number sequence that progressively increased in complexity, embedded within a quantum encrypted carrier wave. At the Global Communication Center in Nairobi, a diverse team of mathematicians, linguists, physicists, and computer scientists worked with a synchronicity that would later become legendary. Dr. Kamau Okello, the center's lead xenolinguistic researcher, remembered the moment with crystalline clarity. "It wasn't about being the first to respond," he would later write in his memoir. "It was about responding in a way that communicated our collective potential." The human response took 72 hours to construct, not out of technological limitation, but as a deliberate strategic choice. When the reply came, it was a masterpiece of collaborative communication. The response not only completed the Zorn's mathematical sequence, but added layers of complexity that demonstrated humanity's cognitive flexibility. The Zorn were surprised. Most species they had encountered responded either immediately and simplistically or not at all. Humanity's response suggested something different, a civilization that was neither desperate to communicate nor hesitant, but strategically measured. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez, whose appointment to the newly formed extraterrestrial diplomatic corps was itself a testament to humanity's collaborative approach, understood that first contact was more than a moment. It was the beginning of a complex, multi-generational interaction. Her background was uniquely suited to this role. A third-generation diplomatic strategist, Elena had grown up understanding that diplomacy was less about individual negotiation and more about collective strategy. Her grandmother had been a key architect of the global collaborative network, her father a renowned sociological theorist, and her mother a quantum physicist. The initial diplomatic protocols developed by the human team were revolutionary. Where other species approached first contact as a binary interaction, submission or conflict, humans presented a multidimensional approach that emphasized collaborative potential. The Zorn diplomatic corps found themselves continuously surprised. Human representatives were simultaneously transparent and strategically opaque. They shared technological and cultural information freely, yet maintained clear boundaries. They were willing to compromise, but never at the expense of fundamental principles. Vaxos Para, the senior Zorn diplomatic attaché assigned to human interactions, found himself both frustrated and fascinated. In his extensive reports to the Zorn Collective's Diplomatic Intelligence Division, he noted a pattern that would later prove prophetic. The next decade of interactions was a masterclass in measured diplomatic engagement. Humanity shared technological insights, but always in carefully curated contexts. Scientific exchanges were conducted not through traditional diplomatic channels, but through collaborative research initiatives that involved multiple species and independent research institutions. A breakthrough came with the Xenobiological Research Consortium, established in 2095. What began as a seemingly straightforward scientific exchange became a complex platform for interspecies collaboration that would reshape galactic research methodologies. Dr. Aisha Nyong'o, who had previously led the Mars Research Base, was a key architect of this initiative. Her approach was quintessentially human, viewing scientific exchange not as a competition, but as a collaborative journey of discovery. The consortium's first major project involved developing medical technologies that could function across multiple biological systems. The Zorn believed this was simply a scientific endeavor. They did not realize it was also an elaborate intelligence-gathering operation, a method of understanding potential galactic threats and opportunities. Blake Chen, now a senior strategic analyst in the Extraterrestrial Engagement Division, oversaw the technical aspects of these exchanges. His quantum encryption algorithms ensured that while information was shared, the deeper strategic capabilities of human technology. By the turn of the 22nd century, humanity had established itself as a unique presence in the galactic community, not as a military power, not as an economic force, but as a collaborative entity that defied traditional categorization. The Galactic Council, a loosely organized confederation of spacefaring civilizations, found humanity increasingly difficult to classify. Were they a potential threat? A valuable collaborative partner? Something entirely unprecedented? What they did not yet understand was that humanity was playing a game with stakes and strategies that extended far beyond immediate galactic politics. Beyond the technological and diplomatic transformations, humanity's revelation triggered a profound philosophical shift in galactic consciousness. The concept of strategic patience, of viewing conflict and engagement as a multi-generational, collaborative process rather than an immediate, confrontational interaction, became a subject of extensive study and reflection. Philosophical institutions across multiple species began deep investigations into human historical and sociological development. How had a species that had been on the brink of self-destruction just decades earlier transformed into a galactic force that could reshape entire political structures? The answer, they discovered, lay not in technological superiority, but in a fundamental approach to collective potential. Humanity had learned, through decades of global challenges, that survival and progress depended on collaboration, adaptive thinking, and a willingness to see beyond immediate individual or collective interests. Epilogue: The continuing journey. As the decades passed, humanity's role in the galactic community continued to evolve. They were not conquerors. They were not victims. They were collaborators, constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible when diverse intelligences worked together. In the quantum archives of the Galactic Historical Consortium, the file on human revelation remained a testament to the potential of a species that had learned to transform challenges into opportunities, conflict into collaboration, and no species would ever forget the moment when humanity revealed its true nature.